Have you ever walked into a yarn shop, picked up a skeiny yarn, and thought this one is so soft? And then you go and pick up another one and you're wondering, why is this one a little bit different? You're not alone. Choosing the right yarn for your project is exciting, but it can also be a little overwhelming. No worries, I've got you covered. This episode is a simple breakdown of yarn fibers, yarn bases, so you can confidently pick the best yarn for your next project. So grab a drink, get cozy, and let's get started. So there are so many different yarn bases and yarn types out there, and nylon, no nylon, what does it all mean? Okay, so let's go ahead and talk a little bit about that today. The yarn base you choose for your next project is going to determine how your project wears, feels, and drapes as you're using it, okay? So there are two main categories of fibers. You have natural fibers. Those are things that come from plants and animals. So you're looking at wool, alpaca, silk, cashmere. You're also looking at the ones that come from plants, bamboo, cotton, okay? Synthetic fibers, you're looking at man-made materials. You're looking at things like nylon, acrylic, and polyester. Now for me, I am more of a natural fiber person. They are, as far as I'm concerned, they're more eco-friendly and sustainable. Nylon is the exception. Nylon, we'll talk about that more later, but nylon is the one that I feel socks definitely need. You might want 100% superwash merino at other times, except when you're knitting socks, and we'll talk more about that later, okay? Every fiber has its own personality, okay? Some are soft and cuddly, like alpaca. Some are strong and stretchy, and all of them are going to make an impact on the durability and texture of your garment. So why does it matter which fiber you choose? Think of it this way. It's like picking ingredients for a recipe, okay? If you're trying to bake a cake and you use sugar in your cake or salt in your cake instead of sugar, your cake's not going to taste right, right? The same goes for yarn, okay? Choosing the right fiber yarn base ensures that your project turns out just the way you want it to. So here's a few things to keep in mind. Durability, okay? If you're going to be knitting socks, and we're going to go over all of these more and more in subsequent videos. And you can also follow along on our blog at southernskeins.com/blogs/news. But durability, if you're knitting socks or crocheting socks, you want them to be strong. You want them to be long lasting. So you're going to want to look for a 4-ply blend with at least 20% nylon. Okay, that'll give it extra strength and durability. The merino wool alone it'll be good, but it might not be as durable as you want. And it might not retain its shape as much as you want. I like a nice 4-ply, 20% nylon, and that is our Southern sock base. And everybody loves it. That is my standard for socks. Okay, elasticity. Wool bounces back into shape, okay? Which makes it great for sweaters and socks. If you need even more stretch, you might want to consider blends with nylons to help it maintain its structure. I knit sweaters with nylon and without. Just depends kind of what I'm feeling at the moment. Living in Florida, I don't get a lot of use out of my sweaters, so I have a tendency to just knit it either way because it's just the choice. Sometimes I want to put it on 100% merino superwash, and sometimes I want to throw in some nylon for an extra little bit of oomph. Now, If it doesn't have the nylon in it, you've got to watch out because it very well might start to stretch and come out of shape. That's when blocking is really important. Okay, drape. Do you want something flowy? Silk or alpaca are great for shawls and wraps, okay? But they're going to require a bit more care. Silk, do you have silk shirts you can take to the dry cleaner? Well, don't worry, you're not going to have to take your silk garments to hand knits to the dry cleaner, though that might not be such a bad idea. But they are going to require extra care, okay? Alpaca is not superwash. It just isn't. And so you're going to want to have a little extra care with these. Not to say that they have to be super delicate. I hand wash all my knits and they always turn out just fine, okay? Now, warmth, okay? I'm in Florida. Warmth is something I really don't ever hit with all that much, okay? So wool and alpaca, they're going to keep you warm and toasty in the winter. Some people like Highland wool. That's usually non-superwash. It's usually more of a budget-friendly item. It's going to have typically, a less than next to skin softness, okay? It's something I rarely dye because it isn't that really uber buttery softness in there. But wool and alpaca are going to keep you warm, okay? Alpaca is warmer than wool. Cotton is my go-to for breathable summer knits. Again, I'm in Florida. I am not going to be wearing a wool sweater in 80% humidity and 110 degrees. It's not going to happen. I will knit in cotton there, and I have some very beautiful results with 100% Pima cotton. I know a lot of people just use it for dish towels and things like that, but honestly, Pima cotton has a sheen to it that you are going to love. And if you're in a hot weather place like me, it works out perfect. Requires a little bit more care, okay? You've got to be a little bit more careful with your blocking, okay? But it's perfect. If you're in that, linen, bamboo, those are all great fibers. If you're in a warm weather climate and you still want to knit those tees. So let's talk more about the types of fiber, okay? So now that we know why fiber choice matters, let's look at some of the more popular options. So there's wool, okay? Wool is MVP of all the yarn bases. If you're looking for soft, lightweight, versatile, superwash, wool is the winner, okay? So there are different types. So let's take a look at the types. You have merino wool. Soft, lightweight, perfect for next to skin wear, okay? It's great for socks. It's what I usually knit my socks with. It's great for socks, sweaters, and baby knits. Now, one thing to say about wool, if you have a sensitivity to wool, you might want to look for a different fiber like alpaca, okay? Or maybe go into the cottons or the bamboos if you or someone you're making it for has a sensitivity. I tend to do my baby knits more in cotton or alpaca because you might not always know if a child has a wool sensitivity to start with, and it's just not something I want to burden a new family with while they're getting settled with their newborn. You don't want to, I don't want to at least, give them one that they could potentially not doing well with. So then again, there's Highland wool. Highland wool is a bit more economical. It's a bit more budget friendly. Typically to get the warmth, people use it a lot for Fair Isle knitting. Those are all the big Nordic sweaters you see, and they do steeking with it, and it's wonderful. It's a very sticky yarn, and if it's non-superwash, it means that you can also felt it, and if you want to make a cardigan out of a in the round knit, you can cut it, and it's wonderful, absolutely wonderful. Got to keep in mind, might not be next to skin soft, but it is going to be durable and warm and a little bit more budget friendly. Then you have MCN, Merino Cashmere Nylon. This, to me, is one of the gold standards for socks. It's a little bit more pricey, okay? But it's ultra soft, it's durable, and it's a dream to knit with. It is fabulous. And when your merino is superwash, it's great. Now, there is cashmere in it, so special care. I just hand wash them in a basin. Just let it sit, put in a little bit of soap, let it sit. When you pull it back out, put them on a sock blocker, and by the next day they're dry and they're back in perfect shape, okay? So elastic, breathable, warm, okay? Non-superwash and single plies, be careful with, because some can pill or felt if you don't care for them properly. Cotton. Who doesn't love cotton, right? It's my summertime favorite. Cotton is lightweight, breathable, and perfect for warm weather projects. But heads up, it doesn't have much stretch like we talked about before, so it can grow in length. I have a couple of cotton tops that I've started with here, and they've grown. When it's wet, it can grow, okay? It can stretch, especially if you're knitting in stockinette stitch. Blocking is crucial for that. Just do some good blocking and you should be fine. It's durable, machine washable, okay? Those are wonderful aspects of it. Lightweight and breathable, okay? But when cotton gets wet, it can be a little bit heavy. It can even feel a little bit heavy while you're wearing it, okay? And it lacks elasticity. Blending cotton with nylon, great choice. Okay, again, it's my go-to. 100% Pima cotton is my go-to for all my summer weight knits for my tees. Alpaca. We talked a little bit about this earlier. It's so warm and cozy. Alpaca is like wrapping yourself in just a warm hug. It is super soft. It's hypoallergenic. It's perfect for the people who have wool sensitivities. It's even warmer than wool. Okay, so if you're needing some winter weather gear, like you're going somewhere cold and maybe you don't want to go with the Highland wool, but you want something softer than that for your garment, alpaca. An alpaca hat, alpaca sweater, alpaca, it sounds like alpaca my bag, alpaca hat, alpaca sweater, alpaca scarves. I have alpaca gloves. They're wonderful, 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 okay? They're less elastic than wool, so they can stretch over time. Blocking is important after you've washed it and to freshen it up maybe between seasons. But adding some nylon to your alpaca, beautiful. It's going to help with your durability, okay? Nylon. We just talked about nylon in your sock yarns and in your alpaca yarns and your cottons. Nylon is like the secret weapon in the yarning world. It's rarely used on its own. You're probably not going to be able to walk into a yarn shop and see nylon skeins, okay? But when it's blended with other fibers, it adds strength and durability and elasticity, which is so important for sock yarns, okay? That's crucial because it's going to maintain a good shape on your foot. Okay, it improves your durability and your stretch when it's mixed into blends. Don't use it by itself. I mean, you're not really going to use a nylon yarn by itself, or else you'll end up making like pantyhose or something. Put it in a blend. You're not even going to notice it, but it's going to be there in the background, and it's going to give just such a nice feel. So natural versus synthetic, which one's better? Well, the truth is, there's really no real right answer. It depends on your budget and the project, okay? Natural fibers, they feel amazing. They're breathable, and they have that special handmade touch. Synthetic fibers, they add durability, affordability, easy care. Blends, they're kind of the best of both worlds. It's like a merino nylon mix for socks or a wool acrylic blend for machine washable sweaters. If you're making something, maybe a sweater for somebody that you know isn't going to hand wash all their items, you might want to consider doing a wool acrylic blend. You have to cater it to the person that you're making it for and know how they're going to care for it and if they will care for it the way that you expect, or the way it needs to be. And so keep that in mind when you're planning this. Plan how will the person care for it? Okay, like with me for my mom, I knit her with wool, but I always take her garments home and I wash them. And I've taught her how to wash them, but I take them home and block them because I don't want her throwing them just directly into the washer and dryer and washing it on hot and letting her socks shrink into this big or felt. So just keep in mind who it's going to and their level of care that they're going to be able to give. So, okay, great. We've got all this information. Are you starting to feel a little bit overwhelmed? How do we choose the right yarn for our project? Okay, we're going to look at 3 easy steps. Consider who's using it. Will it get heavy wear? Socks will be more delicate, like a shawl. Match your fiber to the project. We talked about that a minute ago. Think about care. Need something machine washable? Does the person you're gifting it to, do you know they're not going to be machine washing it, or they are going to be machine washing it and you don't want that item done like that? Superwash wool or blends with nylon or acrylic are great for that, okay? And then experiment and learn. Try new yarns. Every project is a chance to try something new and to grow in your experience. So don't be afraid to try it. I'd start small. I'd start on maybe a smaller project before you jumped out and did something really big on like a big expensive sweater. Start with something small. Maybe try a hat. See what you think of that fiber, okay? Does it itch? Does it cause you to have not really allergic reactions, but sensitivities to the fiber? Is it maybe too slick, not warm enough? You got to keep in mind, synthetic fibers aren't going to be breathable. They're going to be durable. They're going to be easy care. They're not necessarily going to be breathable. It's like wearing a polyester shirt versus wearing a cotton shirt, okay? It's the same thing with yarn. It's going to breathe the same way. Same with socks, okay? So try new yarns. Every new project is just a chance to expand and increase your knowledge base. So what's next, okay? So over the next few weeks, we're going to be doing little podcasts like this, and we're going to be talking about the best sock yarns for long-lasting wear, fibers that give shawls that wonderful drape, and sweaters that'll give you warmth and durability, but also are comfortable in the summer for people like me and warmer weather clients. So if you enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and I'd love to hear what you're knitting right now. Thanks for listening. Happy knitting. Bye now.